What's going on, guys? Ryan here, and today we're going to be working outside and we're going to be installing some sprinklers. Now, I have been using some normal, just put them wherever you want, sort of spike, impact sprinklers on spikes. And the first year we lived here, I had bought like one of the cheaper kinds. They're still metal, but it didn't last a whole season. And so I think it was last year we got different ones that were a little bit more heavier duty, and they've lasted last season and even into this one. But it's getting to the point right now where I don't have a whole lot of time to go out and water and move the sprinklers, and I don't want to take all the time to adjust the sprinklers every time I move them. So originally, the first year we were here, I had put one of these on a spike, and because it's so tall and the pressure from the water made it tip over a lot, and it was just really hard to kind of set it in place and get it set and all these things. I really wanted to use these because I like these, mainly just for the sounds, but we just ended up using just regular cheap impact sprinklers that you can get from like Home Depot. But I recently saw something that Rainbird, the brand that this sprinkler comes from, they have a system, a little kit that is just a quick connect system with a hose. So you bury or you dig a hole, you put the sprinkler in it, and you put a valve cover in, like right next to it. And it's super easy just to go and connect your sprinklers up to a hose when it's time to water. And it's like $45–50, I think. And the price of just one of these is about $20. And I don't think that I'm gonna spend even more money on the system if I can just make it myself, because I have enough of these that I don't want to. I only bought 2 more. I don't want to waste any more of my money, ironically. And I don't think we're going to be doing an actual in-ground sprinkler system anytime soon, because it takes a lot of effort, a lot of money, and a lot of planning, and I just don't have the ability to do that quite yet. So this is what I came up with. You get your own valve cover. This is a 6-inch round, probably around 10 or 12 inches deep. Then you have some fittings, which I stood at the Home Depot aisle for quite some time trying to figure out which fittings I need, and I was trying to copy what it's called a swing pipe, or a swing pipe kit, or swing arm, or whatever. And it's basically just some fittings on a hose like this. And that little kit thing cost like a couple dollars. I think it was like $2, and it would have been really nice, but they didn't have enough, and they have a couple different sizes or different fitting sizes, and it just wasn't gonna work out. But I found out how I can make it work, even if it's gonna cost me a little bit more, because now I know what I'm doing and how to do it. But you put these together, put it on the pipe, you connect the pipe, one side of the pipe to the sprinkler, and the other pipe, or the other end of the pipe, into the valve box that has a quick connect fitting. This goes on the hose, and this goes in the ground on the pipe, and that's all you have to do. And you don't have to go and turn off the water, come back, move the sprinklers, turn on the water, come back, reset them, and then go inside for an hour or 2. It would take about 10 minutes to change all the water around, and it was wasting too much of my time, and I don't have enough of it already. So I'm gonna try to make it easier on myself, and I hope this kind of system lasts a while, because I don't plan on getting an in-ground sprinkler system at least within the next couple years. And I think this is well worth it, because it's making my life easier, and and I can actually have anyone change the water. I won't have to have anyone come out here and move the actual sprinkler and trying to set it and all this stuff. They just connect these 2 pieces together, and that's it. That's all you have to do. And I've already done it once over there. I'm going to show you how to do it over here, and I'll probably do like a quick time lapse of doing all the other ones. I had 6 sprinklers in total. I realized after I came home from buying an additional 2 sprinklers, because I already had 4, I actually might need an additional 2 sprinklers up front. And I'm not going to do the back quite yet, because I still have those sprinklers on spikes that I'll just do it that way until they break or until I don't even need them anymore. Because especially if this works out, this gives me a really good idea on how many I will need and where they're going to be at, and if I need to get any more. I don't want a huge overlap. I think that would just be a huge waste of money and water. I don't want to have like 4 sprinklers here, 2 here, and then 4 there. I think that's just way too many. I think I could get away with having 3 along this side and then a total of 2 on this side. So there would be 6 sprinklers in the front, but I might need to actually do 8, because on the short sides, ironically, because it's longer than it is wide, I don't know, somehow it made sense in the drawing and actually in real life that I could get away with having 3 sprinklers on this side, but I might actually need to have 3 on this side as well. But with all that being said, doesn't matter. I'm gonna go ahead and move the camera over there to the corner. The way that I'm doing it is I'm trying to get the actual soil, the dirt, wet as well, so it'll be easier for me to do the upkeep when it comes to like raking it and getting rid of all the weeds and stuff. I know watering dirt is not great, but I also it'll help try to move the grass to other areas where it's not there anymore or hasn't been there. But oh, the last thing I forgot to mention, this pipe. It's a 2-foot section. In the kit, it's like I think like a 10-inch segment, so you can get maybe 3 out of this. I think it's probably more like an 8-inch section that they have, so you could probably get 3 out of this. But yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and move over there, and everything that I'm going to be using, somehow I will manage to get put in the description, so you know. I also just show you an up-close image of it right now. I'll also put in the picture or links as well to the kit from Rainbird, and also the swing arm kit thing, so you don't have to make your own, and you probably get it cheaper. But let's go ahead and move over. All right, I don't have my sunglasses with me, and also the neighbor's kid has a 4-wheeler that's actually really loud, but so my apologies for the sound. But I'm gonna put it, probably the sprinkler itself, which I took, is probably gonna go right about here, and this is gonna go, I think, about there. And so I'm gonna need to move the shovel, obviously, but let's see how this works out. When I did it a couple days ago, it only took me about, I would say, 15 minutes to get the hole dug, to get the sprinkler put in, the pipe in, set it all up. Only about 15-20 minutes, I think. So it really shouldn't take too long, unless you're gonna do a lot, and in that case, I don't know if it's worth it. But one of the first things that we need to grab is some gloves. A good way of doing this is getting this area watered maybe a day or 2 before you actually start digging. So the majority of the dirt is wet and easier to dig through, so it's not as hard as a rock. Over there where it gets more shade and it's closer to the grass, it was like really easy to dig. This stuff is really hard, but you just want to try to get it dug down deep enough so that you can connect, so that the sprinkler is level with the ground, and also the valve cover as well. The valve cover is a little bit higher up, but I can obviously dig down just a little bit more. Now I'm gonna switch to the hand shovel, and I'm actually gonna get the, what? Whoa. I'm actually gonna get the camera closer so you can see better. All right, let's see what we're working with here. Oh, that's pretty good. And then this guy will be probably right about here. One of the other things too is for the connection that we're gonna do, we're gonna remove this and put it on the bottom because we're gonna connect the pipe to the valve cover on the side and not the bottom. And if you don't have an actual screwdriver, you can pop this off, or pliers, but you're gonna need a screwdriver for the bottom. You don't wanna make it too tight because then you'll start deforming the head of that, and it'll be a little bit harder to get out next time. One of the things my dad told me a long time ago is he likes to put some gravel at the bottom of the base of the sprinkler, because if not, it seems like it gets really muddy in there, and so he has to either like dig it out and fix it, or it's just, I don't know. He said that he had some problems with that, so that's a good tip, but I'm not going to do it. I know it's probably going to bite me in the butt later on, but I think I don't really want to put, I don't want to get any gravel, and I do have some. I just don't want to mess with it. So now that we have the placement of the valve cover and the sprinkler, I will take the pipe and I'll try to figure out if I need to trim this down anymore, because it might be too long, or I might need to move this over. So it doesn't really matter. Okay, so I just cut off probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches from that. But now we got to get these fittings ready to go, and for some reason they put the barcode on the Barb connection. So I just cut it, and then it somehow is easier to take off than if you just try to take it off without cutting it. So obviously the Barb sides, they go in, and it's almost like a screw. You don't just shove it in, you actually kind of push, initial push, and then you just screw it in, and it does a really good job. And you want to go as far as you can without like going too far, but that's all you do. You have the initial push, and then you just screw it. You could honestly just push it too, but it might be easier for you. So now this side gets this fitting, this white one, and you don't have to use any thread tape or pipe dope or anything like that, but what you do need is a wrench or pliers. And again, you don't want to do it too tight, or you're going to risk cracking it and then it's going to leak, but you also want it to be tight enough where it doesn't leak at all. And then this side goes here. And this is the funny thing about this kind of connection. So you see, that doesn't really look right. How can you fit that? Well, this one can move, and you can also twist these around. So now this one has to be facing up, and this one kind of like that, actually. And one thing that you could do too is do a similar connection up here as you do, or you do a similar connection down here as you do up here, where it has like 2 joints, so you can kind of get it flat. The one in the kit from Rainbird has a section inside that holds this in, so it doesn't move at all when you take up, when you disconnect it. But now we also have to put it in the sprinkler. That's about right. So now go down here and place it in. But I can already tell I'll either need to dig out more, or I need to move this or move that over, or just cut the pipe a little bit more. which all you need to do is just basically unscrew it the other way. You want to do that first so you have a hold on the pipe. And the thing that I actually kind of like doing is putting the quick connect fitting on right now too. But I also like doing the other side so no dirt can get in on, because on this side it's like kind of sealed and you can rinse it out really well before you actually put it in the ground. But that's still kind of high. Just probably just a little bit. Well, yeah, it's just a smidge high. That's probably much better. And then if the dirt is a little wet too, it's a lot easier to compact it and it won't settle as much. So you want to try to make this go as vertical as possible, like as plumb as possible, so it's not as much of an angle. But now I can tell that when I put the cover in here that I'm actually going to need to dig out just a little bit more so that is centered within the valve cover, just so it's a little bit easier to actually you know, get your hand in there and twist it about. But now it's actually a lot higher up from the ground, not much, just maybe a tiny little bit. And now you want to you can put the lid back on to prevent getting most of this dirt in there. Then you want to compact it as best you can, including the cover and the sprinkler. And like I mentioned earlier, the dirt will settle, so you're gonna have to bring out more dirt. But luckily there's a small pile left because of the space that this and this take up. You can put back on and settle it even more after it runs. But I'm actually gonna go ahead and pop this out. All right, and I'm gonna go get the hose and I'm gonna turn it on and I'm gonna set it. But I think I'm actually gonna do that after I do at least one more, so they could be running while I do the others. But that took about 18-20 minutes. But that's with me doing it with the camera and trying to explain it. But yeah, that's not too bad. Now you can run these over. I wouldn't really want to run the sprinklers over like with a car, but the valve covers and the whole thing should be completely fine with a lawnmower and probably a car, especially if it's still kind of wet here. But I think it looks great. I think it's in a pretty good placement. I think it's a little bit further away from the fence than the other one I just put in, but I think that's pretty good. Now let me go do the other ones and I'll be right back. About, I don't know, I would say maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. No, an hour. About an hour to an hour and a half, I'm done. I installed 5 sprinklers, 5 valve covers, 5 little pipe things, and I already have the 3 going. And I do have to say, I do think I might have to put in, I probably will put in an additional sprinkler here and here, because the two, they overlap just tiny bit, but because of the way that these sprinklers are, there's a section here underneath the tree that doesn't get any water. Now under the tree is not that big of a deal because this under the tree stays wet a lot longer because it doesn't get as much sun. But I also don't want to not water it, so I will probably have to do an additional sprinkler, but I actually probably won't until I change the tips out of the sprinklers, because these come with different tips that put out different amounts of water, and it should reach after you change the tip. So we'll see. I did test the pressure before I installed everything and then after I installed one, and it's about 40 psi, which should make it reach with a certain tip. It should overlap a lot more and it'll be a lot better for the coverage. But with that being said, that'll be it for today's video. On a quick note, I have a little bit of problem. So I went around the other day after I installed the sprinklers and I changed out all of the tips, and I think they were all blue tips, and each new sprinkler that you get comes with some different tips, different colors, and the beige one is supposed to put out the most amount of water and it's supposed to shoot the farthest depending on what kind of pressure you have. I have close to 40 psi, and if you use the beige one at 35 psi, it should shoot at like 41 feet or something. I put them on. I only had 4 because I bought 2 new sprinklers and I had 2 from the previous sprinklers I bought. So I didn't have enough tips to replace them all. So I used beige and yellow. Well, evidently the yellow ones shoot even further, and the beige ones actually shot less than the blue ones, or that I felt. So I ended up getting a pack of yellow, all the other colors. And now I have more than enough to replace all the tips. I'm going to go through and replace all of the beige ones with yellow, but I kind of forgot which one has the problems. And I think there's 3 beige ones out here, and all the rest, the other 3, are yellow. So I think this one in the corner, that one in the corner, and then that one in the corner all have the beige. But I'm going to go around and check it out with this tool. This doesn't come with any of the sprinklers, and I actually don't know if you can buy it like at Home Depot or whatever, but it's basically just this impact pop-up sprinkler tool that you can hook in there and undo the sprinkler and it pops up, so you don't have to dig it up and try to lift it out with your fingers or whatever. You kind of need this to take the sprinkler out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and see if that works. So that wasn't that hard. It didn't take, and I didn't have to undo the whole sprinkler out. I basically just used that tool to keep it up, so I had my fingers and I could just twist off the tip. Sometimes, especially if they're sprinklers that have had the tip for a long time installed, you really need to like pry it out of there, or just use a screwdriver with the sprinkler head upside down and just kind of hit it out so it just pops out basically, because it'll get stuck. But I'm gonna go ahead. It is a little windy, so it's probably not gonna look right, but I'm gonna see how far it could shoot now since they're all on yellow now. It should be, actually it should make a big difference. So it looks like this one and this one are not going to be able to get this area right here, and nor is this one and that one over there going to get in this area. So I'm going to have to put another one there in the middle and there in the middle, which isn't really ideal, but it is something that I'm going to have to do, because right now that means I have to take up 1 to 2 sprinklers from the back and bring it to the front, which isn't that big of a deal, especially if I grab the ones that either one of them could just turn around and around, or one of them is already going to go straight side by side, so it's not that big of a deal. I also think potentially what could be the problem too is this hose over here that I'm using, with the black hose that I have, I think it might be a smaller diameter, so although you think it should have more pressure, once it hits the sprinkler it decreases in diameter less than these. So I don't know, in my opinion, I think if I were to do it properly and put a PVC pipe in, I think I would still have to do it. I would still have to have basically 3 on every side, and I won't have to do anything in the middle, because the 2 ones in the middle that, like, I don't know how to explain it. I'll actually pop up a little picture, like a diagram or a thing that I can draw that explains what I'm talking about. The 2 on the long side and the middle on the long side can reach the middle of the yard. Sort of. if I ever have to put one there, I'll probably honestly just put, like I could, it's not that big of a deal, but I'd probably just put one, and it would be in the middle of the yard. The tree would get in the way, but I think having all of these sprinklers around the perimeter should prevent the space underneath the tree from getting, especially if I have a lot of pressure. Yeah, it should be fine once I actually install the irrigation system correctly. But with that being said, it will actually be it for today's video. If you liked it, be sure to smack the like button as hard as you can. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Help me a lot. Turn on post notifications. I'll see you guys all next time.